All right, so last one I'm going to do today is an interesting one. Over the course of the summer, I ended up having the great experience of meeting a couple of new dear friends, turned into being dear friends. And what's interesting is the one particular friend, as we started talking, we could talk for hours, and we had very similar responses or ways of doing things, and it was becoming really clear, almost a spidey sense, that I have a feeling this female is an INTJ. So I persuaded her to take the MBTI test, and sure enough, she comes back INTJ. And it was similar, her experience was similar as to mine, where through this tool, she was able to really make sense of a lot of parts of her own experience, and it provided a lot of value for her, which was fantastic. She liked it so much that she actually encouraged her husband to take the test, and it turned out that he as well is INTJ. So now we have three INTJs in this in this dynamic, and it was quite interesting. So again, being the analytic mindset of myself, I am observing the interactions and seeing what are disparate, what aren't, and is there any commonalities. So what I should mention is that, so myself, I am 42 and INTJ female. The other individual, the female, is 26, and her husband is the other INTJ male, who is 35. Now, so we have a mix of female and male INTJs and different stages of life, literally every decade. So we get to see a real cross-section. And I noticed that there is many commonalities in how we talk. We mostly just get straight to the point. We mostly are trying to make each other laugh in the sarcastic or just mindful ways. We all get along really well, but I did notice that there is such a difference, and I want to actually bring her on a video so you will get to meet her. But there is such a difference between her generation and mine, and we could go into that for hours. If people do have questions and want certain things clarified, please send in a video request specifically for those topics, because then it's a great opportunity for me to bring in my friend, that we can do one or as many videos as necessary on this topic, and get each other's perspective. So as I'm speaking only from my perspective right now, I really did notice the difference. And I should also mention that we looked at the actual percentage of each part of the INTJ on their spectrum for preferences, so we could get a good handle. And both her and her husband are very almost on the cusp of the introvert extrovert. So they're about 5 to 7%, I believe. So I don't know if that's tying to potentially their age. I actually can't even say that. Everyone's so unique, but they were way more mid-range than myself for their preferences. So they were more towards the neutral side to mid-range, and mine is more on the more stronger preference for the 3 of the 4 introvert. I'm in the mid-range. So that being that aside, I found that the dynamics between myself and her husband, we had a different dynamic, because it was almost that we would respect each other's, we had an intuitive respect for boundaries, however, can ask really direct questions and know that the other person is not being offended. And when I have interactions with the female, it's very similar, just a little bit it's way less conservative because we're going right to the heart of the matter, because we are both, maybe because we're both females, and it was fantastic. It's very refreshing to have those types of open, honest, and mostly just positive dialogues that are insightful for both sides. So along that line, though, we did have a lot of generic similarities that are very typical that you would see in an INTJ. So that came across. But one thing that really hit me through our conversations is that we all had the exact same experience with our mother. So the socializing through the mother was one where our mothers were more on the narcissistic spectrum and passive aggressive. And so we've spoken about that high level, but there might be some interesting correlation on that. And I'd like to also hear other people's views on that if there's a video request to get into this, dig into this a little bit more. Is there a correlation between being socialized by a passive-aggressive parent, primary parent, for the most part for female or for mothers, and having an outcome of a more stronger chance of having an INTJ personality? Still, I'm not 100% on whether there's nature or nurture 100% one way or another. I feel there's usually a bit of a mix, but a trauma potentially has shown to increase the likelihood of some INTJ traits. So that part I found interesting. And then finally, on the socializing side of things, all three of our fathers were passive regarding the passive aggressive parents. So essentially they didn't want to interject or rock the boat with that passive aggressive parent. So all three of us had spoken about experiences that we were basically left to navigate on our own without any backing from the father on trying to support on that component. So anyways, that is my video for that piece. But again, a couple of different questions that I threw out in this one. So if there are any video requests that are coming from those types of topics, please put it in with video request in the front so then I can keep an eye on it. And as I mentioned, I do hope to have the female come on board and do some videos. So that will be really interesting to hear some responses from you. So thanks so much for watching.